Throughout history, few people have sparked our imagination like John F. Kennedy. He was more than just a leader. He was a source of inspiration, a man whose life was a rich blend of success and sorrow.
Conspiracy.
Today we're going to delve deeper into the captivating and complex story of America's 35th president. You're watching Case Unveiled. If you're intrigued by the mysteries and tales from the past, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more fascinating explorations into history. John F. Kennedy's early life and family background. John Fitzgerald Kennedy was born on May 29, 1917 in Brookline, Massachusetts. As the second of 9 children in a lively household, young John's life was a symphony of ambition and drive, heavily influenced by his father, Joseph Kennedy Sr.
Came from a family that was interested in politics and married into a family. His wife's father, Honey Fitzgerald, was a local politician. Joseph P. Kennedy's father was in the Massachusetts state legislature. Joseph P. Kennedy went to Harvard, entered the world of finance, and was interested in politics.
But beyond the family dynamics, what kind of boy was John F. Kennedy? Amidst a vibrant family, he showed early signs of the charm and leadership that would later capture the heart of a nation. Kennedy's ascent to the White House was as charismatic as the man himself. A decorated war hero, he returned from World War II with a vision for a new America. His ability to connect with the public propelled him from congressman to senator.
The fundamental problem of our time is the critical situation which has been created by the steady erosion of American power relative to that of the communists in recent years. That is the fundamental problem which we face as Americans in 1960. We have heard many general claims and boasts. We have heard how we are first in every area of international competition. We have heard about what must be done to stand firm and to stand up to Khrushchev and all the rest. But no amount of oratory, no amount of claims, no unjustified charges can hide the harsh facts behind the rhetoric, behind the soothing words that our prestige has never been higher and that of the communists never lower. They cannot hide the basic fact that American strength in relation to that of the Sino-Soviet bloc relative has been slipping, and communism has been steadily advancing until it now rests 90 miles from this city of Miami.
I'm in favor of unbalancing the budget. That is wholly wrong, wholly in error, and it is a fact that in the last 8 years, the Democratic Congress has reduced the request for the appropriation by over $10 billion. That is not my view, and I think it ought to be stated very clearly on the record. My view is that you can do these programs, and they should be carefully drawn within a balanced budget if our economy is moving ahead.
And ultimately to president. Each step was a testament to his relentless drive and deep connection with the people he led. During his presidency, Kennedy faced monumental challenges. In the Cuban Missile Crisis, he demonstrated remarkable leadership, preventing a nuclear catastrophe.
Within the past week, unmistakable evidence has established the fact that a series of offensive missile sites is now in preparation on that imprisoned island. The purpose of these bases can be none other than to provide a nuclear strike capability against the Western Hemisphere.
It was a reckless gamble to which President Kennedy reacted swiftly. He ordered the fleet to turn back or seize ships attempting to augment this aggression.
His vision for the space race inspired a nation, symbolizing a future of endless possibilities.
Space is open to us now, and our eagerness to share its meaning is not governed by the efforts of others. We go into space because whatever mankind must undertake, free men must fully share.
And amidst these achievements, he laid the groundwork for civil rights, marking his commitment to social justice.
We are confronted primarily with a moral issue. It is as old as the Scriptures and is as clear as the American Constitution. The heart of the question is whether all Americans are to be afforded equal rights and equal opportunities, whether we are going to treat our fellow Americans as we want to be treated. If an American, because his skin is dark, cannot eat lunch in a restaurant open to the public, if he cannot send his children to the best public school available, if he cannot vote for the public officials who represent him, if, in short, he cannot enjoy the full and free life which all of us want, then who among us would be content to have the color of his skin changed and stand in his place? Who among us would then be content with the counsels of patience and delay? 100 years of delay have passed since President Lincoln freed the slaves, yet their heirs, their grandsons, are not fully free. They are not yet freed from the bonds of injustice. They are not yet freed from social and economic oppression. And this nation, for all its hopes and all its boasts, will not be fully free until all its citizens are free.
Dallas, November 22, 1963, a date etched in history. President Kennedy, riding in a motorcade through Dealey Plaza, was fatally wounded by gunshots. The assassin, Lee Harvey Oswald, a former U.S. Marine, was swiftly arrested.
Telling how the CIA intercepted an October 1963 phone call suspected Kennedy assassin Lee Harvey Oswald made while in Mexico City to the Soviet embassy, just weeks before that fateful day in Dallas. In broken Russian, Oswald asks an embassy employee if there's anything new about his application for a visa to the USSR. The CIA says it's now released more than 95% of its JFK documents, but Jefferson Morley leads a group suing the Biden.
Did you kill the president?
No, I've not been charged with that. In fact, nobody has said that to me yet. The first thing I heard about it was when the newspaper reporters in the hall asked me that question.
You have been.
Nobody said what?
Sir?
You have been.
Nobody said what? Okay, we can't hear anything. Okay.
What did you do in Russia?
It was a 60-year cover-up. The Warren Commission was run by Allen Dulles, who was the head of the CIA, who my uncle fired. Congress found that, yeah, it was a plot. It was a conspiracy. There were multiple people involved.
This tragedy left the nation in a state of disbelief and grief. But the story doesn't end here. It's just the beginning of a labyrinth of conspiracy theories and unanswered questions.
I have just talked to Father Oscar Hubert of the Holy Trinity Catholic Church. He and another priest tell me that the pair of men have just administered the last rites of the Catholic Church to President Kennedy. President Kennedy has been assassinated. It's official now. The president is dead.
In the chaos of the assassination, a figure emerged from the shadows, the mysterious Lady Babushka. Capturing the event on film, her identity and the footage she took remain shrouded in mystery. This enigmatic character adds yet another layer to the already complex web of conspiracy theories, which range from CIA involvement to mafia connections. What secrets does her unseen footage hold? This is just one piece of the puzzle in a case that continues to baffle experts and historians. The 1991 film John F. Kennedy spurred Congress to enact the President John F. Kennedy Assassination Records Collection Act of 1992.
I don't think that the war can be won out there. In the final analysis, it's their war. They're the ones who have to win it or lose it.
Early that fateful summer, Kennedy speaks of his new vision at the American University in Washington.
What kind of a peace do I mean, and what kind of a peace do we seek? Not a Pax Americana, enforced on the world by American weapons of war. We must re-examine our own attitudes towards the Soviet Union. Our most basic common link is that we all inhabit this small planet. We all breathe the same air. We all cherish our children's futures, and we are all mortal.
This led to the declassification of numerous documents, offering new perspectives on the assassination. Yet many questions remain, fueling further speculation and investigation.
The assassination happened in 1963, almost 60 years ago. There's been ample time. It's just there hasn't been the ample will on the part of various agencies, CIA especially, FBI to a lesser degree, and some of the other agencies, to release the records.
One of the most debated aspects is the single bullet theory. This theory, suggesting a single bullet caused injuries to both Kennedy and Governor Connally, is disputed by many experts.
The Warren Commission put itself in a straitjacket. They could not possibly allow more than 3 shots, because 4 shots or more would have clearly indicated conspiracy, and they were not going there.
I was standing down by the underpass. On the curb, there was a very visible mark where a bullet had struck. Either a fragment of the bullet scratched my face.
Records show the first shot had missed its target completely, and the final shot hit Kennedy in the head. So how does one account for one bullet hitting 2 victims and doing all this damage? Arlen Specter was a Yale Law School graduate working in the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office when he was asked to serve on the Warren Commission.
Aha! What if one bullet made all 7 wounds? Arlen Specter, he is the one that gave birth to the single bullet theory. What if one bullet went into Kennedy's back and came out his neck, and then went into Connally's back, piercing the lung, destroying 4 inches of the right 5th rib, exiting from the front of his chest, going into the back of the wrist, shattering the distal end of the radius, and a 6'4" guy like Connally, that's a big, heavy bone, comminuted fracture, exits from the front of the wrist, goes into his left thigh. Whatever you want, whatever you need, this bullet happily and readily obliges you. It is indeed a magic bullet.
CE 399 was the magic bullet, and all government investigations so far have treated that bullet as absolutely foundational to this case.
The evidence challenges the official narrative, adding complexity to an already intricate case. Let's hear from those who knew John F. Kennedy, who lived through his presidency and felt the shock of his assassination. Their personal stories and testimonies bring us closer to the man behind the legend, revealing the human side of a figure so often viewed through the lens of history.
John F. Kennedy was a martyred president, assassinated in the prime of his youth. We remember him as a very popular president, extremely likable. He's rated above practically every president that we've ever had, with the exception of FDR, Lincoln, and George Washington.
Kennedy's hold on the popular imagination is his glamour, his family, the sense of confidence that he exuded, and of course, his tragic death.
John Fitzgerald Kennedy was born on May 29, 1917, into a wealthy, politically connected Boston family of Irish Catholics. Called Jack by his parents and 8 siblings, he was frequently seriously ill as a child, but still managed to hold his own with his many siblings.
JFK came from a family where you had to win, and he by and large did win. He was good looking and popular and smart and decent athlete.
JFK graduated cum laude from Harvard in 1940. His senior thesis on how unprepared England was for World War II was so timely and well received that it was published as Why England Slept and became a bestseller.
During World War II, John F. Kennedy was a genuine war hero. He was in the Navy in the Pacific when his boat was sliced in half, and as the captain, he was in charge and helped save his men, literally saved the life of one of the sailors by swimming with him in the life jacket and holding on to it between his teeth to an island.
Kennedy returned home a war hero and worked as a newspaper reporter before running for and winning the first of his 3 terms in the U.S. House of Representatives in 1946.
In 1952, Kennedy ran for the U.S. Senate. When Kennedy announced his candidacy, he was considered an underdog, but he surprised everybody, and in so doing, he helped launch a national career with national visibility.
John F. Kennedy met the ravishing Jacqueline Bouvier soon after, and the two were married on September 12, 1953. Jack and Jackie had 3 children, but only Caroline and John Jr. survived childhood. In 1960, Senator Kennedy ran for president.
1960 was the first presidential campaign where you had the 2 candidates, John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon, in a series of televised public debates.
John F. Kennedy beat Richard Nixon really because he was better looking. Nixon failed to wear adequate makeup or wore the wrong makeup. John F. Kennedy was tanned and good-looking and glamorous, and that was the difference.
John F. Kennedy won the election by a slim margin and was sworn in as the 35th President of the United States on January 20th, 1961.
John F. Kennedy's inaugural speech is one of the most famous inaugural speeches, and justly so, because he moved his generation.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Kennedy's reign as president was brief. Probably the biggest domestic achievement he's remembered for is his creation of the Peace Corps. And what it symbolized was a kind of idealism to make the world a better place, to have hope for youth and go out and change the world.
JFK's other domestic accomplishments include fighting segregation by formulating what later became the landmark 1964 Civil Rights Act, and jump-starting America's space program with his challenge to put an American on the moon by 1970.
Foreign policy-wise, President Kennedy's administration did not get off to a good start with the Bay of Pigs incident. However, he was able to stave off nuclear war by successfully navigating the Cuban Missile Crisis and also developing a nuclear test ban agreement with the Soviet Union.
On November 21st, 1963, the world was shocked and grief-stricken when President Kennedy was assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald while riding in a motorcade in Dallas during a campaign stop.
About a week after President Kennedy was assassinated, Jacqueline Kennedy summoned a writer for Life magazine and talked to him about the legacy she wanted the Kennedy administration to have.
Camelot was the term Jackie Kennedy used to describe the kind of aura of the 1,000 days of her husband's presidency. It evoked a kind of mythical, magical time of grace and style in the White House.
We romanticize JFK. He was the fallen leader, the prince that we never quite had. We exaggerate his strengths and we minimize his weaknesses, but he's an important myth to us, this idea that leadership can be great. Even if he wasn't as great as we thought he was pretty great.
Kennedy's influence extended far beyond his presidency. His policies, his speeches, his very persona left an indelible mark on American politics and society. How did John F. Kennedy shape the future of the United States? What might the world look like today had his presidency not been cut short? These questions invite us to reflect on the lasting legacy of a leader taken too soon.
And who take him to his rest today. Pray that what he was to us, what he wished for others, will someday come to pass for all the world. As he said many times, in many parts of this nation, to those he touched and who sought to touch him. Some men see things as they are and say why. I dream things that never were and say why not.
John F. Kennedy's life and death are narratives woven into the fabric of American identity. His story is a powerful reminder of both the strength of leadership and the fragility of democracy. The mysteries surrounding his assassination continue to captivate.